Hello and welcome. In the incredibly fast-paced world of hospitality, leadership really is everything. Today we're going to dig into why ethical leadership isn't just some nice-to-have quality.
I am a hotel AI expert, and I'm really pleased to welcome all of you, the students of Europe Hotel School, to your online learning journey. We're here to support your growth because ethical leadership, well, it's your single most powerful defense against fraud. This program is all about giving you the practical knowledge you need for a truly successful career, and we're starting right here with the absolute foundation of trust. So let's just get right to the heart of it. This quote says it all, really. You can have stacks and stacks of rule books, right? But at the end of the day, it's the leader's actions that determine if anyone is actually going to follow them. It's your behavior that sets the real standard. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to break this all down into 6 key areas, starting with your individual role and taking it all the way through to the kind of legacy you'll eventually build. All right, let's dive in. So where does all of this actually begin? It begins with you, plain and simple. As a leader, you have to understand that every single action you take, whether it feels big or small, is being watched. You are quite literally setting the tone for your entire organization. You can forget the official employee handbook for just a second. The real learning, that happens from watching you. Your team learns from your actions. They see exactly how you make decisions when the pressure is on. And when you navigate a really tough situation with integrity, you're doing so much more than just solving a problem. You're teaching your team what this organization actually stands for, what it truly values. And this is absolutely crucial in our industry, isn't it? As a hospitality manager, you're constantly making judgment calls. Think about it. Pricing, dealing with suppliers, handling delicate guest relations. There is no rule book in the world that can cover every single one of those scenarios. And that high level of discretion, that freedom to choose, that is precisely why your own personal ethical compass is so vital. Okay, so we've talked about the why, but what does ethical action actually look like day to day? Well, it really boils down to 3 core professional pillars. That's right, these 3 duties: using your discretion responsibly, safeguarding the organization's assets, and ensuring accurate reporting. These aren't just abstract ideas. These are the concrete actions that truly define your integrity as a leader. Let's look at that first pillar, responsible discretion. This is all about how you use that freedom we were just talking about, right? It means you're constantly performing this balancing act, hitting your business goals, of course, but doing it with a real commitment to being fair and accountable to your team, to your guests, and to the organization as a whole. Now, the second pillar, stewardship of resources. This goes way beyond just, protecting the hotel's physical property. It's about safeguarding its reputation, its finances, and, this is the big one, its people. What it really means is building an environment where doing the right thing feels easy, where it feels supported, especially when it's the hard thing to do. Okay, let's tackle what is often one of the biggest tests of a leader's integrity, navigating conflicts of interest. And when it comes to this, transparency isn't just important, it's everything. And believe me, in hospitality, these situations pop up all the time. Maybe a key supplier is a family friend, or a longtime guest offers you a personal gift. The critical thing here is simply recognizing that moment when your personal interest could even potentially influence a professional decision. And this is where we see the real difference between weak and strong leadership. A weak leader, they'll try to hide these potential conflicts, just hope nobody notices. But a strong, ethical leader does the exact opposite. They drag potential conflicts out into the open. They manage them transparently. And in doing that, they don't lose trust. They actually build it. Remember this, transparency is a sign of strength, not weakness. And that idea of building trust brings us perfectly to what might just be the most critical element of all, consistency. Because this is where the idea of fairness really gets put to the test. So I want you to really think about this for a second. What happens when the rules seem to apply to some people, but not to others? You know the situation. Maybe your star employee gets away with something a junior team member would never be allowed to do. What message does that send to absolutely everyone else on the team?
Well, the message it sends is, frankly, disastrous. It screams that ethics are optional, that they're negotiable depending on who you are or how well you perform. It completely shreds your credibility as a leader and basically gives everyone else a green light to start bending the rules too. Your consistency has to be non-negotiable, period.
All right, so up until now, we've been focused pretty tightly on individual leadership actions. But now I want us to zoom out a bit. Let's look at how you take all of this and expand it into a living, breathing culture of integrity that involves your entire team.
And this quote, this really gets to the heart of it. You just can't build an ethical culture by handing everyone a rulebook and then expecting silence. It absolutely requires active, open, and ongoing conversation.
So how do you actually do that? Well, you talk about it. You openly discuss the company's values and what they actually look like in the real world, day to day. You have to acknowledge that tough, gray area choices are going to come up. And so importantly, you explain the why behind your difficult decisions. When you normalize these kinds of conversations about ethics, it stops being a lonely burden on one person and becomes a shared responsibility for everyone.
So we've really covered the what, the how, and the why of ethical leadership. To wrap things up, let's just take a moment to consider the real long-term impact of committing to these principles.
Because ultimately, this is the goal. When you consistently lead with integrity, fraud prevention stops being some top-down compliance requirement, a box-ticking exercise. Instead, it transforms into a shared value, a collective commitment from everyone to protect the organization and, just as importantly, to protect each other.
And so, I want to leave you with this one final thought. As you move forward into your careers, every single decision you make is going to contribute to your professional legacy. The culture you build, the standards you refuse to compromise on, that will be your greatest impact. So the question is, what will your ethical legacy be?